Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video is going to be somewhat of a mixed bag. I have not a ton, maybe like 6 plants to show you that I've recently acquired that I'm really excited to finally introduce to you guys. And the other half of this video, I wanted to do some updates to repots. So some of them are recent repots, some of them are not even very recent, but I just want to give you updates on them, what I've been finding, what's been working, and just kind of stuff that I feel like might be useful information for you guys. So if that sounds good to you, let us just share in this moment. So let's start with the new plants, shall we? A couple videos ago, this vlog right here, we were at the shop and we were receiving an order from Amanda, aka Bunny, and it was really exciting. There was such beautiful plants, and if you watched that video, I was like, oh, I'm so sad we didn't order anything. I just wish that we got some plants. I feel so much FOMO right now. Well, I lied. I got plants in that shipment. I was on a mission to buy Charmaine a birthday present. Her birthday is this coming weekend. And by the time this video goes up, she will have already received the plants, so I can actually show them to you. So a few weeks before the video, Lauren was putting out like a order form kind of thing on Facebook for Amanda plants, and people were ordering and stuff, and it didn't really the thought didn't occur to me to order anything at that point because I didn't need any plants, and I wasn't you know, I was just enjoying the size of my collection at the moment. But I think it was 1 or 2 weeks before the shipment was due to be sent out, I was like, oh shit. Charmaine's birthday is coming up. I don't have anything for her. We don't always give plants these days just because our collections are so big, but I was like, well, this is kind of perfect timing. So I texted Amanda and I was like, can I get in on this order? And then she and I FaceTimed and she was showing me plants and options and stuff like that. And then I threw in a couple plants for myself. So this is a whole spy mission thing. Amanda had to pack my plants in a certain way, with this colorful tape, so Lauren knew those ones were mine. If you watch the video, the plants are covered in this cardboard stuff, so I was like, that's perfect. I can just shove it into my bag and they won't get damaged. So Amanda made sure those plants are packed at the very bottom of the box, and then Lauren knew that's where they would be. So she just kind of left them at the bottom of the box. They were just under the table where she was unpacking. I don't think Charmaine noticed. I would be very, very honestly shocked if she had noticed. And then when Charmaine went to the washroom, it was just this coordinated movement. Lauren was like, Alice, and I was like, yes, got you. And I went, shoved it in my bag, zipped it up. I don't think she noticed. In any case, if she suspected anything, I don't think she would suspect these plants. I also got one plant for myself, a crazy wish list plant, and it's actually 2 plants, and you'll see in a second, but let me show you what we got for Charmaine. She's going to pee her pants when she sees this. So this beautiful thing is Forgetii crossed with Carla Blackie. Whew! It is so cute. I did not even know Amanda had this plant. This is not her hybrid. I think this is just one of one that she has. So all of these plants have been in my care for about 2 weeks. This one is, I don't know if it's starting to root. I don't see any roots. I have them all planted in tree fern mixed with perlite and pond, but I do see that the growth point is somewhat popping. It has definitely been moving since I got it. I just don't see much rooting action. So in that vlog, I was trying to fish out her kind of interest in Carla Blackie, because she's never been hugely into Carla. I feel she's always liked it, but she's never put it on a wish list or anything. But lately I've been getting the sense that maybe she's starting to get that little Carla itch, just I feel a lot of people in the hobby are. So I was like, so you don't have anything with Carla in your collection, right? And she's like, no, but now I really want one. So now she has this Forgetii Carla, which I think she's gonna like a lot because of this somewhat fused sinus. It's so cute. I am just so happy for her. When Amanda showed this to me on FaceTime, I was like, yes, that's the one. Let's get her that one. And Amanda sent this little rubber ducky, which is made of metal? I thought it was ceramic, but it's actually a little metal ducky just to plop in here. And also super random, she has black plant tags now, which are so sleek, So elegant and fashion. So yeah, that's the first one. I'm so excited to give this to her. She is going to have the best birthday ever. So the next one is a plant that I know she's been lusting after. I have one, Lauren has one. Ours look very different between me and Lauren, but I always see her kind of like gravitating towards it and like touching it and stuff, like both my plant and Lauren's plant. So we got her her very own Carla BVAP. So this is a cross done by Grant and Juan. So Grant is Ghost Dad and Juan is Gay Plant Ho. And it is just a magnificent cross. It is so beautiful. This is the only one where I can actually see active root growth. Let me just show you here. So just to recap the potting situation, tree fern and perlite and pond stuff, it's a leca layer at the bottom in case you wanted to like sit it in one of these glass containers. I'm gonna keep this. This is not part of the gift. She has lots of these herself. They're just from the dollar store. But this is the only one where I can see new roots at the side of the vessel. I tried my best to like push the roots out to the side so that when they do, I can see them a little bit sooner. So this one, I'm like very happy that it's rooting. Amanda had these in pond to begin with and I moved them to tree fern just because I want them to root faster, and I find just tree fern really great for rooting. And I mean, tree fern is good for rooting, so I felt like that was the safest option, but pond probably would have been really good as well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit jealous because hers is so dark. There's something about what Amanda does that makes this cross in particular really dark. I'm gonna show you mine in comparison in a second, but just like look how beautiful this finishes. That pink sinus, the pink veins on the back, and it's so black. So the color, like look how dark it is. This is my hair next to the plant. I remember when I got my Carla BVAP from Amanda, and the newest leaf on it was also like this. Like it will not stay like this forever. It will eventually harden to like a very dark green, but the emergent leaf was very black like this, and I haven't been able to replicate that darkness. I've been able to get it a little bit darker, but not like this on a new leaf. The way I've been able to do that was to give it more light rather than less light. And I never really knew why on some of these like velvety anthuriums, why more light would make like blacker plants. And then I recently read something that basically was describing that as somewhat of like a sun stress reaction from the plant, just to create more blacks in response to higher light. So anyway, mine, I was able to get a little bit darker with higher light, but not like this. So I was asking Amanda, like, what kind of light do you have it under? Like maybe what I consider like brighter light is not actually that bright because they're only Brina T5s, they're only 10 watt bars. So maybe like, do I need to blast it with like mother lights or something like very strong? And she says like they're kind of all over the place. Like she has some in like bright lights under Soltex, some like more shaded, and she is suggesting that she thinks it's the TPS1 and like the amount that she's using that exaggerates these colors in some of her plants, which she was saying like some of her plants are like just unnaturally dark. And I also use TPS1, so this is the fertilizer that we're talking about. It's a great all-in-one fertilizer, and she says she just uses a lot of it, and she says she finds it really hard to kind of burn plants with it. So I've always kind of been the type to use like a very diluted mix, maybe around half of what they recommend on the bottle, and then just do it every time I water. And I still do it every time I water, but maybe I should try, well, she suggested I try just using like even more TPS. So maybe I'll try using full strength, see if that does anything. And it's specifically this plant that I'm trying to get dark. One second, I'll just show you mine. All right, so this one is mine. This one here is the newest leaf compared to hers. This one is definitely darker. I've been keeping it like maybe 9 inches away from the grow light, and it has like unobstructed light from above. So I feel like I'm going to, yeah, try the TPS thing and just keep the light the way it is. This new leaf is really sad. It got nicked on the way out. But I have a feeling this one's gonna end up looking like this one, which is like still dark, but not like black dark. You know what I mean? Not like that. This one also desperately needs a repot. I have a feeling that's why it's shedding some of these older leaves here, which is fine. Sometimes like when it's like growing 360 like this, it's not like super nice looking, but I will upgrade it to like maybe a This is a 4-inch, so I'll probably upgrade it to like a 6 or maybe even like slightly bigger than that pot. So yeah, these are the 2 plants for her birthday. I'm like so smug. Like Amanda did this, but also I made it happen. So I feel really good about myself. This is gonna be a great present. After having purged like so many of her plants, I feel like these are really good ones to take its place, and like, you know, just like a little Carla tasting set. Oh, before I forget, this freaking adorable little witchy mushroom. I don't know where she got this. I feel like I could probably make this, you know? I used to make these little figurines with those, you know, like not Play-Doh, but like that plasticine. It's not even plasticine. The stuff that you like mold things with, you make little figurines and you bake them and then they harden to this. Honestly, if I had more time on my hands, I'd be making this stuff all day long. All right, so those are her plants. Let me show you mine. So also in that vlog video, I was like, we were talking in the car, we were doing a little like mini Q&A, and then one of the questions was like, what's your #1 wish list plant? And I threw out 3. And this one was one of them, but I couldn't say like, I couldn't not include it because she'd be like, wait, I thought that was on your wish list. But I also like knew that it was on its way to me or it had already arrived. And this is my Black Velvet Eastern Panama. I know it's called Antilacii now. I still want to call it BVEP. I don't see it as like a disrespect to Rory because from all accounts, he doesn't want the attention anyway, so that makes me feel better about calling it BVEP because it just kind of, it feels more familiar, right? It's like calling Philodendron SP Columbia rather than Philodendron El Guapo. Anyways, this, it's finally here. This one actually is rooting, but it's like rooting up at the top. The reason why she sent me 2, because I did get 2, is because this one was the clone that she wanted to send me. This one was originally from Paul, aka Understory Oasis, and it was a cutting that she'd made of her plant, and it's like, it's so beautiful, it's so black, and it's not like really puffy. It has more of like this like leathery grain, and it's like overall more of a flat leaf and just really black. Oh, that beautiful butthole sinus. So she wanted to send me this, but she pulled it out of the pond and it didn't have great roots. I think either it had recently gotten treated for root rot and like it just had these little like nubbins that hadn't started up again. So she was like, I want to send you this, but I'm not super confident about it, so I'm going to send you a backup as well. So she sent me 2 BVEPs. This one was like also the one I preferred just like by looking at it and by looking at like her personal plant, which is like where this was propagated from. So this one is in no drainage, like at the bottom, tree fern, blah, 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 blah. And we've got roots forming at the top here. So there's like three roots forming up at the top, and then I don't see anything at the bottom. So my guess is that those like little root nubbins aren't really doing anything. It's focusing all of its like rooting up at the top, which is totally fine. I'll just like pile up the substrate a little bit higher. I remember when I put this plant on my wish list, this was like one of my first YouTube videos, and I had only known about this plant for maybe like 6 months before that. And at that point, when I put it on my wish list, it was somewhere around like $1,200–$1,500 US plant. And I was like, it's first of all, they're all in the States. They're not gonna make its way up here. They're way too expensive. Those days of spending like $1,000, not that I ever spent $1,000 on a plant, but like even entertaining the idea of spending $1,000 on a plant, those days are behind me. So I really cannot believe this is like, I'm holding this plant right now, and I have 2. So the other one is this one here. By the way, I don't know the numbered clone this one is. I just know it's from Paul. I might be able to find out, but I don't know if that it would mean too much to me anyways. So this one is from Grant. It's one of his like seed grown BVEPs. I don't know which one. He has like different ones that he calls different things. Like for example, the round one is what he crossed with this Carla BVEP, I believe. This one, I don't know. It's either a self or 2 of his BVEPs crossed together. Maybe I could find out. This one, are there any roots yet? Don't see roots just yet. So this one's like super banged up because when it was being sent, it was still like red. It was still that tissue paper level stage of thinness. So obviously there was like a little bit of cosmetic damage in transit, but it seems to have hardened off just fine. And maybe it's not going to root from below, but I do see the starts of roots right here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see. It is just pushing out of the stem here in like multiple spots. From what Amanda says, this is not like the hardest, most finicky plant ever. They do grow in ambient conditions in her house. So they're in the tent right now. They're in my little acclimation zone right here. I don't plan on growing it outside of the tent for the foreseeable future. Like I said in my last video, this is a hostile environment out here with spider mites. So yeah, I went from having no bee veps to having 2 bee veps. And I don't even know what my life is right now. Let me tell you, it was not easy keeping those plants secret for the past few weeks. Finally, the secret's out. I've been checking on these plants daily. It has just reinvigorated my love for my tent. Not that I like ever stopped loving my tent, but I'm just like extra obsessed with my tent lately. And it just makes me all gooey inside. It's like, ooh. Another plant I want to show you, it's also from Amanda, but it's not from this last shipment. So if you watch Charmaine's videos, you probably would have seen this by now. But this is an Anthurium diabloense, which was sent to Charmaine, when was it? In the summer. It was like July or something like that. And Charmaine's mom's been taking care of it for a month or so, and then she recently came up here and she brought all the plants with her. I didn't even have this on my wish list. I don't know why, because I remember seeing it on Facebook and I just thought it was so cool. For some reason unknown to me, I kind of forgot about this plant. And Amanda she sent 2 of these, and I was so happy to receive one. It is so cool. If you like the, what's it called? Ulierum Don Burnsii, like plants with this kind of shape, this is a cool Anthurium. And it also is silvery, like it has that glaucous sheen. It is kind of like, that texture is kind of rubbery. Like, I don't know if this is coming off on camera, but it's not silicone, but it is kind of has that like squishy kind of feeling. Actually, I'm gonna show you Amanda's plant because it's much more mature and you're gonna be able to see what this plant turns into. But so far it's been like really easy going. You can see a bunch of new roots coming out here, and it's currently planted in, this is Charmaine's mix. This looks like chopped up moss, tree fern, pond perlite, that kind of thing. And it seems happy as a clam. It's popped a new leaf in my care. It's living in the tent right now, but look at this. Look at this little cutie. Who do you think you are, little guy? This plant brings me a lot of joy. It's living right here, literally right where my hand is right now. I have had this for just a few weeks. I just recently got it from Charmaine and I am so thrilled. It was not even expected to get this plant. So really like this guy. Last plant I want to show you. It's not the most noteworthy thing anymore, but if you had told me in 2020 that one day I would own Philodendron Spiritus Sancti, I would probably laugh at you. All right, so when you see the plant, you might say owning a Spiritus Sancti might be a bit of a stretch because here's the plant. It struggled a little bit when I got it. So here's the story. Charmaine got a Spiritus Sancti from Lauren, and these are seed grown, not from TC. Not that I super think that matters, but she got a plant. I don't remember when this was, maybe like a few months ago, and she propagated it and she gave me, I think the bottom or mid cutting. When she gave it to me, it was in this like tree ferny moss mix, I think, like similar to the Diabloense. And I think it was just a little bit too wet, so the roots rotted, and like literally the next day, the leaves are just dropping. So I was like, oh crap. So I changed it into like fresh tree fern with like my perlite and pond mix through it with like a layer, just a little bit drier. I don't think that mix was bad for it. It was just that particular substrate was a little bit too wet for it. So just to speed up the drying process, I just gave it fresh media. And then I just like chucked it in my tent and just crossed my fingers. Both leaves eventually dropped and it started to grow again. I don't see roots, which is fine. I do think that it's going to like push out a little bit more growth before it starts to root a little bit more. It's just crazy to me to think back like how unattainable this plant seemed to be. And probably a lot of you who are watching this right now also own a Spiritus Sancti, so you might be able to like understand how I'm feeling. Funny story, I remember it's not even that funny. Like when people tell you their dreams, it's never like very interesting, but I did have a dream. I remember a very vivid dream in 2020 where somehow I came home and I discovered this massive Spiritus Sancti like on my dining table, and I was like, holy crap, I freaked out, and I was like, I need to like get an alarm system installed. I need security cameras because I was like so afraid of getting burgled for this plant. And do you remember like the price of it was like maybe around $2,000 for a bit, like near the tail end of 2019, 2020. And then it went to like 10 grand easy, 10, 11, $12 for like these pretty big plants. And there was like maybe 3 sellers selling them in the States. And now so many people have them in their collections. And I still find it very cute. I find this, I do like a strappy philodendron, but I especially like the Spiritus Sancti just because like in that kind of juvenile stage, it's not like super mature yet. It has these like derpy looking lobes that I find so charming because they're always a little bit asymmetrical. It kind of looks like a blob, like an elongated blob, and I find it very, very lovable. Like when it's mature, don't get me wrong, when it has those like cut cheekbones and like the really tall ears, it's so beautiful and it just kind of commands attention. But I personally, I like that derpy little juvenile stage when it has those round little lobes and like the beginnings of cheekbones, but they're kind of a little bit chubby, and it's just kind of like, it reminds me of some like kind of blobby thing you throw and it splatters in a very cute way. So I'm actually very excited to be growing this. Despite me not putting so much effort into philodendrons lately, there are definitely a few that I still baby, I still put in the time and effort into. Like for example, my Patriciae is still one of my all-time favorite philodendrons. So this one's, I'm very excited. Thank you, Charmaine. Okay, so that is all of my new plants that I wanted to show you. So I just wanted to show you also some updates to repots. They're all kind of all over the place, and I think one of them was not even repotted on camera, but I want to talk about like a little bit of my findings, my experience with growing it. If I'm able to throw in footage from that repot so you can see what the plant looked like then, I will. So these next 2 plants I repotted, I think it was like 4 or 5 videos ago. This was, I can't even remember my own videos anymore. Was this my puppy repot? Yes. Yeah, so it was only like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I repotted some plants, anthuriums, out of different media into like fresh media, bigger pots, stuff like that. So the first one is this Anthurium magnificum. I think this is kind of a special magnificum. I don't even know for sure that it's like a pure magnificum. It doesn't seem like a pure magnificum. I would think that the petioles would be square by this age, but anyways, this one is from Amanda. And at the time I had it potted in pond, no drainage. It hated its life. It was constantly drying out. So I moved it to tree fern soil. So that's like kind of 50-50 tree fern and my aeroid mix with a pond layer at the bottom. Just that's like a reservoir layer, but I would prefer to do leca. But at the time I was out of leca, and I didn't even notice that this leaf had popped out. It was kind of like facing away from view, so it was facing the back of the exo. So I thought maybe it was like an older leaf, because like all I saw was like basically like this from like standing in front of the exo. So I turned it around, I was like, holy crap, that is freaking beautiful. I didn't even notice it was growing a new leaf, and it popped a new leaf so quickly. And I find it so pretty because like I didn't really notice it so much on the older leaves, but this silver looks furry. Do you know what I mean? It's so blurry and fuzzy on the edges. Now I'm truly understanding why Amanda sent this to us, because it is such a cool one. And you can see that there's like some good root growth here. And I've been, in general, finding the tree fern and soil combo really nice as like a long-term substrate for anthuriums. Something about it is like you get the rooting power of tree fern, but you also get the nutrients of the soil. And I've been finding like anthuriums grow faster in it. They root really well. The leaf growth is like healthy. I haven't used this tree fern soil combo on all of my anthuriums, but I've never had like an anthurium react poorly to it. Just saying, it's been working really well. And I'm gonna show you something kind of gross. My current batch of soil is just full of mycelium. Those of you with trypophobia, you might want to proceed with caution. You might not want to look at this, but those of you who grow in soil, you'll probably will see this at some point, which is these like little, I don't think these are the spores. I think these are germinated fungal spores, but it's just like these little fuzzy dots all over. And this batch of soil has got it bad. I mean, I personally don't like how it looks, but I know that it's not harmful to the plant, but it looks gross. I don't even think that that's mycorrhizal fungi. I think it's just some other sort of fungi that's not like definitely beneficial to the plants, but it's probably beneficial to the soil. So I'm just here to show you, like, it's gross, but obviously the plant is not harmed by having it there. It's kind of gross. I'm kind of looking forward to using this batch of soil because I don't want to look at it anymore. But a lot of plants I've recently put into this like tree fern soil mix has got pretty bad mold on it, which is, you know, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Another plant I potted in that, ooh, that's a big fat root. Same video, this is my subsignatum pappy. This one is the same substrate except just with no drainage. So lots of healthy roots. This was the big fat one I was admiring. Oh, no. This one is the big fat one I was admiring. And this one also popped a leaf and it is so pretty. The sinus, it's completely flat. It is completely flat. And I know it looks a little bit like puckered here, but just something about it looks a lot more well-formed than previous ones. I guess we will see when it fully expands, but this is looking a lot more healthy of a leaf. It might just be in my head. I wanted it to size up, but it always felt to me like the leaves were just a little bit underdeveloped. Do you know what I'm saying? So I have high hopes for this one. It is looking really beautiful. It has that kind of, I don't know what pappy is in this hybrid, but it has that like Ralph Lynam Fort Sherman butterfly shape. And I really enjoying this leaf. So if you like tree fern, but you don't want to use tree fern like purely because it is so expensive and your plant is like, you know, it has some roots already, this is a good mix because you get to like stretch your tree fern a little bit more, and it also, you get all the benefits of the tree fern. Just make sure that your soil is like aerated enough and amended enough so it's not like just super muddy, and you should be good. Okay, so this one is like a really old one, but also is in the tree fern soil category. So this was like in February that I repotted my green form Warocqueanum. It was struggling. I think it had it in soil. Yes, I believe it was soil. It had a really big root system, but I kept losing a lot of leaves to this like powdery mildew looking stuff. So basically I chopped off all but one of the leaves. I got it into tree fern soil in no drainage, and I forgot to put a leca layer at the bottom. But I was like, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna try not to overwater it. And then I made a little collar for it up here because I had so much stem, and this collar is filled with tree fern and perlite and stuff. So this plant did not jump back from that repot very well. That one leaf that was remaining, I don't think, I can't remember now if I cut it off because of spider mites or if it just fell off on its own, but since then it's put out like 5 leaves. At least one of them didn't even fully form before it shriveled off. You know how sometimes anthurium leaves just kind of, they kill their own leaves before it has a chance to even expand. I believe that it's a nutrient issue. The other leaf was like so mangled up, and it was basically, it never really expanded. So it emerged and it was like this like almost unfurled leaf, and it just stayed like that and hardened that way, and it was so ugly. And then finally about a month ago it pushed out this leaf, and it's like a properly formed leaf. And I don't see spider mite damage on it. I've been treating pretty heavily with spider mite knockout. Whenever I see anything, I just like soak the plant, and it just put out another leaf very soon after. It was not very long at all before I put this one out, and like it just emerged from the sheath and it is this big. So I feel like this is gonna be definitely bigger than this one. We'll see, but I just gotta make sure I don't let it dry out at this point. So this mix is like pretty water retentive because of the soil. Like tree fern, some people find that it dries fast, some people just find it dries slow. I guess it depends on what else you're planting in. I find it dries like medium. I find pond dries faster, like my pond with all the perlite and stuff added. So usually when I water this plant, I only kind of water here because down here there's probably still moisture left. But I also don't want to ever let this dry out. So I water here and just a little bit here, but mostly I just concentrate it here because this upper part, there's no soil, it's just tree fern. So it does dry a lot faster than down here. But yeah, this one did take a while. This one took over 7 months to get to this point, but like we don't have that powdery mildew issue anymore. This went from growing inside one of my exos, which is not super high humidity, probably only like 15 to 20% higher than like out here. But I'm hoping that the worst is behind us. If I can grow this plant big, I would be so thrilled. So thrilled, because this was one of like the oldest anthuriums in my collection. I think I got it in 2020. Yeah, no, it's definitely 2020 I got it, and like it's essentially a one leaf with like a second one on the way. But we've definitely been through highs and lows, but I don't ever plan on getting rid of this. And I actually enjoy the green queen in some ways more than the dark form because it is so much thicker than the dark form. I find the dark form, if I went like this, it would probably droop a little bit and kind of drape, and that's really pretty. But the green, it is really meaty, and I do like that about the green queen. Anyways, there's that. Okay, so about 2 months ago, I had a plant chores video where I was repotting my Pallidiflorum, and I snapped it on camera, roll the footage. So it was a rootless top cutting of my Pallidiflorum. So I plopped it in tree fern with like a leca layer at the bottom, and it looked just so pitiful for so long. In hindsight, I might have been able to like root it a little bit faster if I had just plopped it in water, but I personally did not want to be like changing the water on this plant because I don't know, I just knew that I wasn't going to keep up with it. So I just plopped it in tree fern, chucked it in my tent, and hoped for the best. And to be clear, I don't think this would have worked quite so fast or at all if it wasn't in high humidity and warmth. But I'm happy to report it's finally rooted. And also here, I am honestly quite relieved. Let me just pull this petiole off. And you can see how curled in this leaf is right now. But the reason I knew it was rooted was because like it used to be like this, like it was like a tight little like taquito, and it started to flatten out a little bit. I was like, oh, you must be rooted. And I checked, and the only root I saw was this one here. And since then it's popped that one and this one. And it's starting to flatten out a little bit more each day, like leaf by leaf. I don't know for sure it will completely flatten out because I've seen Pallidiflorums like reroot and like the leaf kind of just stays a little bit curled forever. But it's fine because I'm just glad that it's made its comeback. Part of the reason why I put it in tree fern and just trusted that it would root is because my first, actually this plant, when I first imported it in 2020, it didn't have roots at all. It was at that point where like the plant boom was so crazy that like Ecuagenera and tropicals were just sending out unrooted plants. They're just like chopping plants into pieces and sending them out because they didn't have time to even root them or grow them at all. So when I got this plant, it had no roots, and I put it in moss inside of a storage bin, and it rooted like so fast within a week. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do it again with tree fern. And it did take a little bit longer, but it did work. So This plant is such a trooper. If you're looking for an easy anthurium, pallidiflorum, I'm telling you, it's so easygoing and it's beautiful. And I think it's flowering right here. Flower coming out, and the leaf is starting to push out again. So we're back on track now. And I'm going to show you the bottom of this. So this is the bottom. This was the original vessel that I was growing in, and that's what I was trying to get it out of. So once the top cutting like broke in half, I was just like, well, I'm just gonna leave the bottom as it is and let it grow. So the bottom sprouted 3 growth points. There is 1 leaf. This one got broken because it had grown like through, like underneath the stem through a root, and I was like trying to pull it out, and it broke in half. And then a third one is right here. So it's very feasible. I'll just like get 3 more pallidiflorums from this. I don't know if I would keep them together in the same vessel. I probably would just separate them out because there's a lot of root in this one thing, and I probably want to just kind of start over. But yeah, the bottom is living out here on this shelf behind me, like out in ambient conditions, just because I know that it had the root system to support itself, and it came back so fast with 3 little baby plants, and it's just so cute. So in hindsight, not the worst thing in the world that I snapped that plant, because now I have like four pallidiflorums, or like the potential to have 4 pallidiflorums. So I don't think I repotted this plant on camera. This one is my red crystallinum. So I wanted to show you guys this plant just as an update to my use of silica. So this is the silica that I'm currently using. It's TPS Silica Gold. So the way I'm using it is I'm not mixing it with anything else in the watering can. I'm just using it by itself. So I fill the jug with water, put in my silica according to like the dilution rate. And I knew I would have to adjust my pH down a little bit because the silica was increasing my pH slightly. So I have just been throwing some pH down into the water, but I haven't been measuring it. I'm gonna be totally honest. I just put like a capful in, let it sit, water my plants. I don't even let it sit for like the full 30 minutes or the full hour or whatever. I just let it sit until I think it's dispersed, and then I just go in. I've done at least 2 or 3 waterings through like the majority of my plants with it. The plants haven't really been reacting negatively to it, but this plant was one of the ones where I really wanted to see if it was going to help this plant, because this plant historically never forms properly. Like it always has something not quite forming right, whether it's like the lobe of the leaf or the bottom of the leaf. But the newest leaf, it's not perfect, but it's a huge upsize, and we got all the parts. 10 fingers, 10 toes. There's a bit of damage on the edge here. Do you see this little like kind of nick, which caused the side to kind of pucker like that? So I don't think that was, I think that was mechanical. It does have like a weird kind of puffing out. Like I wish it would lay a little bit more flat, but overall this is a huge improvement to previous leaves, because I will say probably this might be the best leaf prior to that. I'm not saying that this is definitely silica, but it might be silica. So I'm going to be keeping this up obviously indefinitely unless I ever find like a really big downfall to using silica, but so far I haven't seen much damage. Another plant I've been using in my silica testing is this very white elbow. So this, ignore these brown leaves because it was already like that before. These are the newer leaves. So far, so good. Again, I'm not saying that it's silica, but it might be the silica. But yeah, mainly wanted to show you this because I was honestly a little surprised by like the size jump, because this has been historically like a really hard plant for me to grow like a nice leaf. So the fact that it gave me like more size, it's encouraging. It has, you know, the features of a leaf. It looks a little bit funny, but I actually am not really mad at this shape because it looks really, really turtley. Like it's like a red turtle. But one thing in general I'm really trying to get on top of with my anthuriums is get them upsized like as soon as possible. So as soon as the roots fill out those pots, I'm trying to get them upsized to a bigger pot. And that's just to make sure that they continue to size up, because I've been finding that when I like upsize the pot, the plant responds by putting out like a bigger leaf. You get much better size jumps that way, and I see this all the time at the shop, the way Lauren upsizes her pots very consistently and like it seems like it's very on time. So her plants are growing massive. Like she's sizing up her pots multiple times in the time that it takes me to size that plant up once. Do you know what I mean? So her plants are like just getting massive and my plants are straggling behind. So it's one thing that I'm vowing to do is size up my pots consistently and on time. And when I'm sizing up the pots, I'm not doing like 1 inch. I'm doing at least like 2 inches, just like a nice big jump, because when we're talking about anthuriums specifically, the roots are so thick and juicy. So even if it grows like a little bit of root, it fills up a lot more of the pot than like say a begonia or a philodendron with like much thinner roots. So I find that like that 1 inch kind of size jump, it's just like, it's almost not even worth doing unless it's like a really small seedling. But when we're getting into like the 4 to 6 inch to 8 inch categories, I like to go like a little bit more and just give it a lot more space to fill out. So case in point, after coming back from Lauren's and seeing the Lux Ralph Lauren Fort Sherman's from Amanda and how beautiful they were, and just knowing that I had one at home that was really small, I immediately got it from like a little 2 inch to this is probably like a 5 inch, give or take, glass vessel. It's tree fern soil like at the bottom, and again it's that mycelium soil that I have, but the plant is doing fine. You see it's rooting happily in this. This was probably 2 weeks of root growth. I want that oil slick plant that came in that order because those are so beautiful, and it was the same seed batch. Like this is the seed that I germinated in like January of this year. And it's not like she sent us like small plants, they were seeds, so she wouldn't have known. You know, it's not like she was holding back like the biggest ones for herself. I just know that Amanda's a lot better at sizing up the pots on time. So I went from like here to here, and I will say probably in like 6 weeks it'll be ready for a bigger pot. And I'll do this all throughout the winter because this plant room, even out here, like not even just inside the tent, but out here on the shelves, because of all the grow lights, it is really warm in here. So it's always perpetually at least spring. Anyways, that is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next week is going to be a very fun video. It's going to be with Charmaine, and I am super excited to film this one. I hope you guys are having a nice cozy Sunday. Ow, my knee. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah.